I started investing, we had this thesis that companies were going to yield to networks. And so most of us, when we think of a company today, we think of that's how it's always been. But we don't necessarily realize that in the 1850s, people like J.P. Morgan and some of the early entrepreneurs behind the railroad and the steam engine invented these new modern corporations. Nobody in the world had enough money to build a transcontinental railroad at the time, so we had to have a partnership with entrepreneurial innovation and financial innovation. And so now we look at companies all around us and just assume that's how business happens. But I believe that mass production and mass distribution, which characterize the modern corporation, are yielding to mass computation, mass connectivity, which characterize the networked organization. When we first invested, we invested in pure play networks like Twitter and Twitch, thinking that we would just invest in whole new things. But what we began to believe was that networks would reimagine every sector of the economy. And so that caused us to get energized around network transportation, for example. And that's why we invested in Lyft and then cruise automation for self-driving cars and more recently applied it to tuition. My view of cryptocurrency and commodities is that this network capitalism brought to money and commodities and financial services and products. But I believe that networks will reimagine every sector of the economy: energy, manufacturing, already happening in entertainment. And writ large, I like to say that in network capitalism, bits are the new capital and atoms are the new labor. And so we've always had software networks, but we used to have software networks to make an existing corporation run better, to help Burger King sell more hamburgers, to help somebody manufacture more widgets. But Lyft is undefined without a software-defined network. And so more and more of these companies that we think are going to succeed are going to win because they're software-defined, network-centric companies. So now, back to slow money. When we think about investing, we only raise money from what we call slow money investors. And I don't know, did anybody see, I did a post on Medium a little bit ago. I don't know if anybody saw it. It's called Slow Money Crypto. But the basic idea is that there's two kinds of investors in my experience. There's fast money investors and slow money investors. And fast money investors generally know something that the market doesn't know that will quickly be revealed. And so they leverage that insight to trade and buy low and sell high on that information. I think fast money works fine. It's not what I do, but I think it's very hard to be good at fast money and slow money at the same time. Slow money, through my frame of reference around network capitalism, is that technology tends to evolve in waves. So the first wave, kind of before I was born, was mainframes. And then the PC came out, and the PC commoditized computation with the microprocessor, and then value shifted to proprietary software with companies like Microsoft and Oracle. Interestingly, what we seem to observe is that every new wave in computing seems to commoditize what was valuable and proprietary in the prior wave. So for example, the internet came out and software became open source, and then value shifted to the web service providers that aggregated and owned and monetized lots of data. So what does that mean for crypto networks? We basically believe that we are at the beginning of a new wave. And if history is any guide, we believe that data this time will be commoditized and democratized. And so crypto networks to us are compelling and interesting because if that happens, then that'll affect not just money, but all of technology itself. Slow money investing then becomes all about investing in the important companies of the wave. And so when the internet started to become a thing and Web 2.0 started to become a thing, or mobile, our perspective has always been you want to invest in one of the top 3 companies and 2 of the top 10. And hold it for a minimum of 7 years because these waves last about 15. And so to me, that is the slow money way to play it, is to kind of recognize that there's a massive wave ahead of us and that what we're looking to find is the next Larry Page, the next Jeff Bezos, the next Bill Gates, the types of people who have the staying power to build these things that will compound through time. Because ultimately, slow money is about taking advantage of, what Einstein says is the most powerful force in the universe, which is compound interest. And you could take advantage of that by letting it compound for a very long time and be right about the ones you pick. The other thing I think characterizes slow money is because you plan to hold it for a long time, you tend not to rush the pick. So you tend to pick things you're prepared to hold for 10 years, and you tend to just keep holding them no matter what anybody says for some time, counting on your original investment thesis.